Hello, my name is Mooncat and welcome to my video going over the Space Age Venus military units. I'm really excited about this. The age is finally out, so now we finally have some proper data and stats on the actual units. So energy cannon here is the first unit I will go over, but before I do, I quickly want to mention movement, cost and ranges, because that is important to keep in mind. So the way this works is that for each tile, or when a unit enters a tile, that has a certain cost. When it comes to the scaled up map, which is the map you will be fighting on, this will be 3 for a plains tile, and then up to 9 for swamp or rubble tiles. So the cost will depend on the terrain. If for example you're a flying unit though, you ignore the terrain, which means that you will always move 3, or the cost will always be 3 per tile. So that is something to keep in mind. The range that it says a unit has isn't the actual number of tiles. And secondly, the range a unit has, so here for example, the energy cannon has a range of 8, but because you fight on the scaled up map, this is actually scaled down. So that means that instead of having 8 range, you actually have 6 range. And the way this works is that you scale it down by the same factor as the map, so 1.5, and then you round it up to the nearest whole number. But don't care about the math, I've written it all down here. So the actual range is the one in the brackets. I'm not quite sure why Inno does it this way, but they do. So when it comes to the energy cannon, which is my favorite unit of this age, it is the fast unit, it is flying, and it has a really high movement and attack range combined. So it has a movement of 30, and because it is flying, that means it can move 10 tiles, and it has a range of 6 on the scaled up map. That is exactly the same as the Sentinel, which means it can hit units up to 16 tiles away on each turn. Now, if you imagine the battle map, on wave 1, the enemy unit directly opposite your unit is 14 tiles away. If we go diagonally, the furthest away a enemy unit can be is 18 tiles. So that means that 16 tile range means that this can hit most enemy units on wave 1. The central units can hit all, and your units on the edge can hit most units, but not the units on the opposite side of the enemy units. So yeah, that means in practice that you are able to hit 8 units, or hit 8 times on your first go, and because it's a fast unit you hit first, meaning in practice you should be able to kill off 4 enemy units on wave 1. Which is really good, and it's what made the Sentinel really good in Space Age Mars. When it comes to stats, it has a very nice attack increase, and especially defense increase. So here we see 450 for the Sentinel, but 900 for the energy cannon. So that is a doubling of the defense, which is really, really nice. If you have some good attacking defense, you should not take a lot of damage when the few remaining enemy units retaliate. So in combination, I believe this will make this a really, really good unit. And again, it has a keen eye effect. I did some calculations before this video. 30% keen eye means that on your first 8 attacks, you will have a 95% chance of getting at least 1 keen eye proc. You will have a 75% chance of getting 2 or more procs, 45% chance of getting 3 or more, and I believe it's a 20% chance of getting 4 or more keen eye procs on wave 1 with your first 8 attacks. So in reality, you will most likely be able to kill off probably 5, perhaps even 6 units if you have some decent attack boosts on your first wave. And that's what makes me believe this is the best unit. It has some attack boosts and defense boosts against artillery and ranged units, although these usually don't matter too much, at least with high attack boosts. So that brings me on to the Power Dragon, which is another unit that looks really, really good. It is the artillery unit. It has a movement of 12, which means it can probably move for 3 to 4 tiles per move. and it has a range of 16, which means it should be able, or it is able to hit all the enemy units on wave 1. When it comes to attack stats, it's actually the same as the energy cannon, which is a little bit surprising because for previous ages, the artillery almost always have higher attack than defense, but here, for some reason, it has higher defense. And when it comes to skills, it has 30% keen eye as well, as all units have, but it has power shot, which is really, really powerful. Power shot allows the artillery unit, allows the power dragon to ignore defensive skills of enemy units, including flying. So that means that the power dragon, even though it is artillery, it is able to hit the energy cannon, the flying unit. And this should make this a really, really good unit to fight with. In previous ages, so in the Space Age Asteroid Belt and in Space Age Mars, the artillery units are great against heavy units, light units, and artillery units themselves, but they struggle a little bit against the ranged unit, and they cannot hit fast units. So when fighting in Guild Battlegrounds, for example, if you use these, you would have to swap them out whenever the enemy unit's defense had some fast units. However, because of the power shot, you are now able to use these for Guild Battlegrounds for some defenses with a lot of heavy, light, and artillery units, but they can also handle the fast unit. It might not be good against it, but it can handle it, so you don't have to swap it out all the time. And especially in low attrition, this is probably a really good unit to use in Guild Battlegrounds. So yeah. Then we go on to the Ghost Blaster. It has a movement of 16 and a range of 10. So a movement of 16, that is probably 4 to 5 tiles, I imagine. So in total, probably 14 to 15 tiles, which means that it can hit some of the enemy units on wave 1, but not all. It has some very nice attack stats, similar to the 2 other units. Again, a very nice boost. Compared to the Nailstorm, it has slightly higher movement, but slightly lower range, one lower range. So in total, these probably cancel each other out, so it's probably a similar attack range per turn for these 2 units. When it comes to skills, of course, 30% Keen Eye, and then it has Blast, which means it can attack stealth units, which is should be really nice. I'm not quite sure which of these are best, but yeah, I think these are probably similar. This might be a little bit better, but I'm not quite sure. But yeah, I think this will be very nice as well. The Nailstorm is very nice to fight with, so I believe this should be nice as well. But we'll have to see how much of an impact the Blast versus Stealth have, and also how much the lower range will impact things. So that brings me on to the less good-looking units. We have the Observer Drone, which is the light unit. It has a movement of 24, which is nice, but it only has a range of 4. That is better than expected, though. In the initial release, it said it was a light melee, so that made us think it was a 1 or 2 range unit, but it is 4, so it has some range, but still very low range. With the movement, it can probably do move 6-7 tiles, plus 4, so perhaps 11-12 range. It will not be able to hit the enemy on wave 1. I do not think this will be a good unit. It has the 30% Keen Eye, of course, and it has Stealth on broken grounds, which is not great, I think. There are not too many broken grounds. I think this will be quite difficult to use effectively. It has some nice stats, of course, but still, I think the range and movement is crippling, and I don't think this will be a good unit. Then we have the Steel Fist, and it's much the same story here. It has a movement of 18 and a range of 2, which is the same as the Shredder, and I think, as most people who have been in Space Age Asteroid Belt, they don't use the Shredder at all. So I don't think this will be too good. It does have Reactive Armor, which might make it good in defensive armies. So in Guild vs. Guild, for example, as defensive armies, defensive units in the All Ages map, this might be good. But for attacking yourself, offensive, I don't think this will be good at all. It does have nice attack, nice defense, and combined with the Reactive Armor, it should be good. Reactive Armor is the ability that allows it to, or it means it can only take 4 damage, which should make it a decent unit to have, for example, in guild versus guild defensive armies. But other than that, probably not too great. And if you have AO and possibly Keen Eye, you will be able to do more than 4 attack, or 4 damage per attack. So yeah, don't think it'll be good, but it might be good in defensive armies. And then we have the champion, which is more or less the same as the Steel Fist. It has slightly higher movement, the same range, and then here especially very high defense, 1200. I believe this is the first with above 1000 defense, but still low range, low movement. It does not have Keen Eye or Reactive Armor, so I think even though the stats are higher, I think this will be worse than the Steel Fist. So yeah, again, I don't think this is a good unit. It hasn't been good for a while. So yeah, that's about that. I don't think this is good. So, with that said, thank you very much for watching. I believe we have some very nice units here. I believe the Energy Cannon, the Power Dragon will be really powerful. I also believe the Ghost Blaster can be good. So 3 out of 6 units look really, really good. I'm really excited to try these by myself. But yeah, for now, I hope this was helpful, giving you a rundown of the units. Thank you very much for watching, and stay tuned for more videos on the Space Age coming up soon. Take care, thank you, and I'll see you in the future.